Let's get right into it. Number 10, the Devil's Kettle. Picture this. You're hiking in Minnesota, you come across a beautiful waterfall, and half of the rushing water just disappears. No dramatic cave opening, no secret underground river you can follow. Just poof, nature's version of a magician's trick. Welcome to the Devil's Kettle. At Judge C.R. Magny State Park, the Brule River splits in two as it hits a rock outcrop. One side tumbles down like a normal waterfall, pretty, photogenic, Instagram-worthy. The other side, it drops into a dark hole in the bedrock, and then science basically shrugs. For decades, nobody knew where the water went. People threw in dye, ping pong balls, even logs. None of them showed up downstream. It's like the Earth has its own trash compactor that doesn't give receipts. Now, geologists think the water reemerges downstream somewhere, probably mixed in with the regular river. But here's the kicker. All the experiments keep failing to prove it. It's like the planet is gaslighting us. Oh, you thought physics works the same everywhere? Cute. And of course, local legends wasted no time filling the gap. Some say it's a portal to hell, others say it's a wormhole to another dimension. Imagine if it actually is just some intergalactic plumbing, and aliens are standing on the other side, knee-deep in ping pong balls, wondering why humans are so obsessed with rivers. Either way, it's unsettling to stand there, listening to thousands of gallons vanish into an abyss that refuses to explain itself. So yeah, the Devil's Kettle is basically Mother Nature doing her best David Copperfield impression. And like any good magician, she refuses to reveal the trick.
Number 9. The Door to Hell. If hell needed a tourist office, Turkmenistan has already nailed the branding. There's literally a place called the Door to Hell. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. A giant crater in the desert that's been burning non-stop for over 50 years. Back in 1971, Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas in the Karakum Desert. Spoiler alert, it did not go well. The ground collapsed, a massive sinkhole opened up, and instead of being sensible and leaving it alone, the scientists decided, hey, let's light it on fire so it doesn't release poisonous gas. The plan was that it would burn off in a couple of weeks. 50 years later, it's still raging like the world's angriest campfire. Standing near it is like being face-to-face with a hairdryer from the underworld. The air is so hot it feels like it's peeling your skin, and at night the glow can be seen for miles, a permanent inferno in the middle of nowhere. Scientists have poked around trying to study the unique bacteria that live there because apparently microbes just looked at the literal flames of hell and said, yeah, this is fine. Tourists love it though. People camp beside it, roast marshmallows, and take selfies with a burning pit of death that never turns off. Because nothing says vacation memories like toasting s'mores over the abyss. The weirdest part? We still don't know how long it'll keep burning. Maybe another year, maybe another century, maybe forever. The Earth opened its mouth, swallowed human mistakes, and decided to burp fire indefinitely, which is pretty metal, but also incredibly creepy.
Number 8. Lake Natron. Imagine walking up to a lake so red, it looks like somebody spilled a giant vat of Kool-Aid across the landscape. Except this Kool-Aid burns through your skin, calcifies dead animals, and literally pickles anything unlucky enough to fall in. Welcome to Lake Natron in Tanzania. This lake isn't your normal Instagrammable swimming spot. The water's packed with sodium carbonate and other minerals that make it more caustic than the cleaning supplies under your sink. Temperatures? Up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. pH levels? Around 10.5, which, for context, is basically liquid chalk with an attitude problem. Here's the creepy part. Birds that miscalculate a landing and touch the water don't just die, they calcify. Their bodies get preserved in eerie stone-like form, frozen mid-flight, like horror movie props arranged by some twisted taxidermist. Photographer Nick Brandt actually captured images of these calcified creatures, and they look like they were turned to statues by Medusa. Now, to be fair, there are flamingos and a few other species that thrive here. They've evolved to handle the heat and alkalinity, building nests on small islands safe from predators. But for everyone else, Lake Natron is like a giant do not touch sign written by nature herself. So when scientists say it's inexplicable, they don't mean they don't understand the chemistry. They mean they don't understand how life can casually say, yeah, this is fine, in what's basically a cauldron of death. Lake Natron is both a flamingo daycare and a bird mausoleum depending on your luck. Creepy doesn't even begin to cover it.
Number 7. The Zone of Silence. Picture this. You're driving through the desert in northern Mexico, you turn on the radio and silence. Your phone drops signal, compasses spin like they've had 6 espressos, and satellites act like the area doesn't exist. You've just entered the Zone of Silence, where technology goes to die. This patch of desert in the Mapimi Basin has been confusing scientists and spooking travelers for decades. Electronics fail, radio transmissions vanish, and nobody can fully explain why. Some say it's the high levels of magnetite in the soil, others claim it's just natural anomalies messing with electromagnetic fields. But of course, conspiracy theories took that football and sprinted to the end zone. Locals whisper about UFO sightings, glowing orbs, and alien abductions. And in 1970, when a US missile accidentally went off course and crashed into the Zone of Silence, the conspiracy crowd went wild. Because what are the odds, right? If you're into aliens, this desert is basically Area 51's chaotic cousin. Here's the unsettling bit. You can walk through the desert and feel totally cut off, like you've stepped outside the modern world. No Wi-Fi, no GPS, no way to call for help. Just eerie silence under a scorching sky. It's the kind of place where your brain starts inventing noises just so you don't lose it. Scientists have studied it, of course, but nobody can give a solid, satisfying answer. Which means the Zone of Silence stays in that perfect limbo of creepy science mystery and alien fan fiction playground. Either way, it's not somewhere you want your car breaking down.
Number 6. Hoia Baciu Forest. If forests already give you the heebie-jeebies at night, buckle up, because Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania is basically the unofficial headquarters of Nope. Nicknamed the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, this forest is so unsettling that even locals avoid it like the plague. For starters, electronic devices go haywire in here. People report sudden headaches, rashes, nausea, and the overwhelming feeling that they're being watched, which is the forest equivalent of your Wi-Fi router suddenly giving you the flu. And then there are the sightings. Glowing orbs floating between the trees, shadowy figures peeking from behind trunks, and of course, UFOs hovering overhead. Because what's a creepy forest without UFOs? The strangest part is a particular circular clearing in the middle of the forest. Nothing grows there. Not grass, not weeds, nothing. Scientists have tested the soil and found nothing too unusual. No radiation, no chemicals. And yet the clearing sits there, empty, like nature just decided this was a permanent do not disturb zone. Photographs taken inside sometimes show mysterious mist or lights that weren't visible to the naked eye. Some people describe sudden missing time, memory loss, or even bizarre visions after visiting. Imagine walking in for a hike and walking out wondering if you just got soft abducted by aliens. Skeptics say it's just mass hysteria fueled by folklore, but even scientists who studied the place admit it's weird. Very weird. So yeah, Hoia Baciu is like a horror movie set that forgot to hire actors because the forest itself does all the work.
Number 5. Lake Anjakuni. Now imagine a whole village that just vanished. No fire, no war, no signs of struggle. Just gone. That's the legend of Lake Anjakuni, up in Canada's chilly Nunavut territory. Back in the 1930s, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle claimed he stumbled upon the Inuit village near Lake Anjakuni only to find it completely deserted. Hundreds of people had seemingly disappeared. Food was still in pots over extinguished fires, sled dogs were found dead and starved, and there was no explanation. Even stranger, graves in the nearby cemetery had been dug up and emptied, because apparently vanishing villagers wasn't creepy enough. Now, skeptics argue that LaBelle's story was exaggerated, or maybe even invented, but the tale stuck. And decades later,
Lake Anjikuni is still whispered about as one of Canada's great unsolved mysteries. Some blame alien abductions, others think mass migration, though why people would abandon food, clothing, and supplies in the dead of winter is a mystery in itself. It doesn't help that the story sits perfectly in the middle of the Arctic wilderness, isolated, frozen, and full of places you could vanish into without a trace. If you ever wanted a real-world example of press X to disappear, this is it. So whether it's folklore gone wild or an actual historical unsolved case, Lake Anjikuni has cemented itself as the kind of mystery that makes you double-check that your neighbors are still there.
Number 4. The Overton Bridge. If bridges freak you out, this one in Scotland will crank it up to maximum nightmare fuel. The Overton Bridge looks innocent enough, a 19th century stone bridge tucked into a quiet countryside. But for some inexplicable reason, dogs keep leaping off it to their deaths. Yeah, dogs. Happy, healthy pups suddenly get to the middle of the bridge, freeze, and then sprint straight off the edge like it's an Olympic diving event. Except the landing isn't water, it's rocks. Since the 1950s, more than 300 dogs have jumped, and about 50 of them didn't survive. Theories are all over the place. Some say the strong scent of mink in the area drives dogs into a frenzy, essentially hijacking their brains. Others claim the bridge gives off disorienting acoustic signals that scramble animal senses. A few locals whisper it's cursed, haunted by spirits tied to tragedies in Overton House nearby. But here's the creepy part. Many owners swear their dogs weren't chasing anything, weren't spooked, weren't distracted. They just stopped, stared, and bolted over the side like something called them. In fact, it's happened so often at the same exact spot that the bridge has been nicknamed the Dog Suicide Bridge. Scientists have tried to explain it with natural causes, but the sheer consistency is unsettling. Imagine walking your dog, whistling along, and suddenly Fluffy turns into Evel Knievel without warning. Whether it's a scent, sound, or something supernatural, nobody has nailed down the truth. Overton Bridge is basically the world's strangest, saddest Bermuda Triangle, but only for dogs.
Number 3. Mount Roraima. Now let's flip from terrifying bridges to a mountain that looks like it belongs in a video game loading screen. Mount Roraima, on the border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, is a massive tabletop mountain that shoots straight out of the jungle like the Earth decided to cosplay as Minecraft. Its cliffs rise sheer on all sides, making it nearly impossible to climb without specialized gear, and its flat summit sits so high it often pokes into the clouds. But the weirdness isn't just the shape, it's what happens up there. The summit has its own ecosystem, cut off from the rest of the world for millions of years. Plants that look like they belong on an alien planet, strange rock formations, waterfalls that disappear into mist before hitting the ground. It's like stepping into a prehistoric bubble. Scientists still don't fully understand how some of the species up there even exist. Local legends take it further. Indigenous tribes call it the House of the Gods and say it's home to powerful spirits. Others whisper about lost worlds and hidden civilizations. Even Arthur Conan Doyle used it as inspiration for The Lost World, imagining dinosaurs roaming its summit. And honestly, standing at the bottom, staring up at those sheer cliffs disappearing into fog, you can see why. It's so isolated, so alien-looking that your brain practically begs for a supernatural explanation. Science may chalk it up to geology and evolution, but Mount Roraima feels like the kind of place where you wouldn't be surprised if a pterodactyl casually flew past your campsite.
Number 2. The Crooked Forest. Imagine walking into a forest and realizing every single tree has been bent. Not by a storm, not by random chance, but in the same weird shape, like Mother Nature tried to doodle in cursive. That's the Crooked Forest in Poland, where about 400 pine trees all grew with a sharp 90-degree curve at their base, like upside-down question marks sprouting out of the earth. The kicker? Nobody knows why. The trees all bend north before straightening up again, creating this bizarre, uniform pattern that feels almost intentional. Were they manipulated by humans back in the 1930s to make bent timber for furniture or ships? Maybe. Did a freak snowstorm crush them all in the same direction during early growth? Possibly. Aliens practicing their calligraphy? Sure, why not? Standing there is deeply unsettling because forests are supposed to be chaotic. Branches, roots, growth patterns, all random. But the crooked forest looks like a glitch in reality, as if someone grabbed the warp tool in Photoshop and dragged an entire patch of nature sideways. Even after decades of theories, scientists still haven't agreed on an explanation, which leaves the place sitting in that perfect liminal space between botanical mystery and nature trolling humans again.
Number 1. The Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, you knew this one was coming. The Bermuda Triangle is basically the Michael Jordan of creepy unexplained places, the legend that refuses to die. Stretching between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this patch of ocean has been blamed for dozens of vanished ships, planes, and crews over the last century. And not just small ones. Entire Navy squadrons, giant freighters, gone without a trace. Theories range from the mildly scientific to the full-on tinfoil hot starter pack. Rogue waves, methane gas eruptions, compass malfunctions, violent storms, all possible culprits. Then you've got the spicier options. Alien abductions, underwater crystal pyramids, time warps, even the lost city of Atlantis flexing on modern navigation. Here's the thing. Statistically, the Bermuda Triangle isn't much more dangerous than other busy stretches of ocean, but numbers don't erase decades of stories about radio contact suddenly dropping, compasses spinning wildly, and ships vanishing like they were deleted from existence. That reputation has turned it into the ultimate creepy place science can't quite nail down. Standing on the deck of a boat out there, staring into endless blue water, your brain can't help but imagine the possibilities. Will you just cruise through and live to tell the tale? Or will you become the Triangle's next unsolved mystery, joining the ghost fleet beneath the waves? Creepy either way. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.